Welcome to the latest episode of 305 Vox Populi. And we're back at Town Hall. As you can see, second show right here in Town Hall. Our studio at St. Thomas University is under construction, but I actually love being here at Town Hall. It's really, really awesome. I love the colors, love the scene. And with us today, we have Mecca Grimo. How you doing, Mecca?
My brother, it's an honor. It's a pleasure.
Sac passe.
Sac passe, not boule.
Appreciate you coming on, and I think one of the greatest. Did a little bit of research on you. One of the greatest things that I love about Miami is how diverse in cultures, in languages, in food, and everything that we are. Right. So when I left a small school in Hialeah and I went to a high school in Opalaca, immediately half of my class were Haitian Americans, right? So I became friends. We gravitated together because you realize how similar Cuban culture, Haitian culture is, right? Especially when you break it down.
Yeah.
So a little bit about you, if you could share it. You know, what's that why for you that, man, you have the hat on? I mean, you're all about the culture. You're sharing it. You're very open about it. You're so prideful, which I think is really awesome, right? We live sometimes in a world where people are a little bit scared to share who they are, what their culture is. I'm the other way around. I think that makes us better as not only human beings, but as a community. But what's your why? You know, why is that where you said, I'm gonna wear this 24/7. This is my culture. This is where I'm from. This is Miami. But the Haitian culture is, I gotta share that with the entire world.
Right. Well, it's an honor again, Mayor, for me to be here. My name is Mecca Grimm, and as an artist, I was trying to, plant my feet in that mainstream market like all the young youth try to do, try to either follow or try to just fit in. Once I empowered myself culturally, just felt another source. I felt another purpose. And through my music, which was my creative avenue, I just started doing that full time. I became a teacher because I wanted to get into the schools. I felt like a lot of that work as a student that was culturally empowered, it helped me actually even in my grades. It helped me in other avenues in life. It's for you to know your background, for you to know your roots, I think is so, so important. In the Haitian community, we get teased a lot. And I'm pretty sure other cultures get teased as well. Jamaicans, Cubans, we all get teased to a certain extent. But there's some of us that, really there's no understanding of the culture. They used to call us African booty scratches. They used to call us HBO, Haitian body odor. We eat cats. A lot of negative stereotypes that really made you go inward and be an extrovert to society, to being out there. We had to take different routes to go home when I lived in New York. When I came to Miami, I was more embraced. And I think I was because I was younger and I wasn't out into the community as much as I am when I came to Miami. But when I came down here, I was more embraced with the culture. So, oh, you Haitian? Oh yeah, I'm Haitian too. Then the Creole language. Then I said, you know what? This, it's. I think they're taking it in. It's more welcome because there's so many down here as well. And Miami's such a diverse place. You got, just like you said, there's different cultures here. And so whatever empowers you, whatever makes you feel like you are able to help others, I think that, it's a purpose, it's a calling for you. And that's how I just became fully. At first I took little baby steps and, I'm going to do just Haitian Heritage Month. Then I saw what the results were. Then from Haitian Heritage Month to Black History Month as well, National Poetry Month, because I'm a poet as well. And so the culture and everything about the culture started to, be channeled through my music and my acting and everything that I did. Charity work. I became an activist because I started to understand the social ills of our community as well and why Haitians were actually being teased. And so it started to fit for me. And I said, you know what? Some people never realize their purpose in life. And I felt like I did. And I wanted to actually give students a chance, at least give them that cultural empowerment. So I started creating cultural workshops, not just workshops, but cultural workshops so that they can know their roots about food, and don't be ashamed about it because everybody has, a different background and the similarities are crazy. The similarities of, is so intense that you would think that you from Cuba too. It's just a little variation to it. And so I said, you know what? I want to become a teacher because I wanted to make it official that to be able to go into the schools and do these workshops. We were already going into the schools because we were the only, I would say, like group that was mature enough to really understand how to keep it Disney in the schools, the dress code. And so people gravitated towards us and said, you know what, yo, you come to our schools. We really don't do this like this, but do a background check, come to the school and come talk to our Haitian kids because we have this dilemma at our school. And so I went beyond that and became a teacher. So now I was sitting down at meetings with teachers non-related to me coming to the school, but the fact that I'm at the table now I can have a conversation with them about, I do workshops, cultivating, Haitian culture and talking to the kids about being prideful. And that was like my entrance. That was the gateway in. And man, it was like 25 years later, I'm proud to say that I'm a cultural ambassador and spreading the word of culture, life, positivity is just a beautiful thing. We need more of that because you see how the world is going and what kind of messages are out there in the music right now.
So I don't want to put you on the spot, but before we close later on, if you could drop one of your poems.
Got you, for sure.
If you're cool with that.
Oh, that's no problem.
So coming back to your roots as a teacher, a cultural ambassador. So our area of the county, right, Hialeah, Miami Lakes, a huge Cuban-American community, Doral. I mean, you look at the county, how it's subdivided. It's really interesting, but how do you not only create what you're doing, create that pride within your community, with the Haitian community, but how do you build the bridges? Just say I didn't go to school, which I did, right? All my friends were, Travis John Claude, Greg St. Ford, those were my boys, you know what I mean? We hung out, we had lunch every day, so I get it.
Right.
But how would you approach somebody who's never been exposed to the Haitian community, which I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are going to be watching this that maybe have never been exposed to that. A lot of people live in their neighborhoods, right? If that's all you know, but how do you break through that and build a bridge? So for those folks that are going to be watching, how do you do that? What would be the approach?
Are you talking about Haitians or non-Haitians?
Non-Haitians. How do you share the Haitian pride, Haitian culture with somebody who's never experienced Haitian culture?
I think I start talking about their culture first and talking about how part of my culture is very similar to what you got going on, and how culture makes you feel is how culture should make me feel, or anybody should feel. And so a lot of people that I do talk to notice that culture is missing from, how should I say that? The embodiment of the educational system. There's no culture being taught. And so when I speak to them, this is something that's very inviting to them because they know how important culture is to someone to have background, to know who you are. When you're sitting in that chair as a student, and this is how I felt. Like I felt like I didn't know where I came from, or even though I knew where I came from, I didn't want to be from there. It was a sense of denial. And so when I speak to them, they know what it is for students to feel underprivileged. They know what it is for students to feel ashamed, embarrassed, and how that can be a block to even, furthering their education, to even sitting still and being able to concentrate on academics, So I think it's a conversation that's a no-brainer. Once I start talking about culture, and I'm not talking about nonsense, we start talking about food, language, we start talking about fashion, we start talking about tradition, how important your independence is, how important the development of your flag for your nation is, and I start telling my story, and we start seeing the similarities, and even the differences are beautiful as well. Like, wow, yours is red, wow, mine's is black, but for a nation to have a flag, for a nation to start developing, history, context, and heritage and traditional values is something that's missing. And I think that when I speak to adults, it's different when I speak to students. I really try to, bring them into that frame of mind that, know who you are. That's going to empower you. Once you have knowledge of self, you'll be a better person. You'll know how to navigate throughout society. You start to see the ills, stay away from those things, and start making better decisions for yourself. And so the culture path, I think, is a path that I think, people really gravitate towards that. I want to teach these kids culture. You have not just Haitian kids, but I think culture, period, is something that we all shall embody.
I think what Miami represents to the culture is really interesting, because it represents freedom, opportunity. But how do we, and I, talking about Cuba, Haiti, Central America, South America, the Caribbean, I mean, the challenges that all of our countries have, right? Cuba is an island prison, right? You have a communist regime that has imprisoned 11 million people. Haiti has major challenges as well.
There too.
A lot of the nations, Caribbean, South America, Latin America, are really challenging. How do we, from here in Miami, how do we help back home? Because that's always been one of the struggles that I had. And I'll share with you a story. We went, and Albert was there. We went to Peru 2 years ago, and we created this cultural exchange. But we had sponsors. We sent over $20,000 worth of TV equipment, this and that. That stuff, somebody took it. That thing disappeared. I mean, we've had everybody, ambassadors, everybody involved in this. But how do we change not only the perspective here in Miami, but how do we improve our roots, right? How do we, and that's for us Cubans, has been challenging, right? You have 60 years of a communist regime that has oppressed our people, and last year alone you had 3% of the entire island leave. Right, seeking freedom. So how do we do that? How do we also help here, but help our people back home?
Right. I'm not sure if I got the foolproof answer, but coming from my perspective, I feel that education is always the key. You know, the kids that we educate today are going to be our future leaders for tomorrow. What we have there now is corruption. So we can't depend on that. That's why when you send something over there, it never gets to where it's going. The system over there is broken. And so I think that I wanted to start with the youth. And that's why I channeled my music with the message. I didn't separate it. At one point I was separating what I was teaching, and my music was something different, you know, talking about the mainstream stuff just to fit in, until I matured enough and I got knowledge of self and said, this is one piece. You know, if I got knowledge of self, then I should be teaching. I shouldn't be just teaching here in a classroom setting one thing, and then when I do my music, I'm another person and I'm talking about something else, just trying to fit into mainstream media or mainstream music. And so once it became one piece, then I started to really find my way into, we got to educate the youth. That who we educate today might be the president of tomorrow or that next cabinet. And I really do believe that it's going to take some time. It didn't happen overnight where we are right now, and so it's not going to happen overnight to try to fix a situation. If we have an overnight situation fix, I think that'll just be a Band-Aid. We really have to empower the youth about the culture, and that of the culture, the politics, the social ills that are going on in the country, so that these kids are growing up aware of what's happening, why they can't go back and visit maybe, or why their food is so beautiful, or teach them their history so that they're empowered, so that they do want to go back and make that change. Like myself, I wanted to empower myself so much that I thought that I could do it by myself, go back there and, build a park. But it wasn't that easy. Go back there. I said clean water. Well, I went there in 2002 after, going there in my childhood years, and then there was a gap. When we went back in 2002, the clean water thing really baffled me. I said at the very, very bare minimum, there should be some basic necessities. Clean water. I know when I'm thirsty and I'm here, And so you guys, there's no clean water for like a whole day, couple of days, couple weeks. And so I thought that I could fix that problem, but you know what? The powers that be don't want clean water there, because somebody's profiting off of bottles coming in or whatever that system is. So once you start understanding what's happening, like I went there and was stuck in my ideas, because I thought I was coming with an idea, bringing to them like, look, this can work. They don't want it to work. They really don't want it to work, because somebody's profiting off of other means or keeping the people down. And so educating our youth and bringing up leaders, strong leaders, not corrupt leaders that are looking at it for their own benefit. There'll always be corruption, but I think that, once you empower the youth, they're the ones that's going to take over for tomorrow. Really, truly believe that. And that's why I concentrated on youth workshops, to empower the youth, so that they can be our future leaders of tomorrow. They're the ones that's going to make those changes. And I know we want it to change now. Might not be something that me and you might even see, but it's, you know, it's not really for us to really see. If we want to see that change, and it might take however long, we've got to plant that seed now. We've got to start watering it now, so that the tree, these sequoia trees, I'm pretty sure the people who planted them, or when they were small, you know, they don't see them as big as they are, as grand as they are right now. But somebody planted a seed, and now we have this, you know, this marvelous, you know, tree that, you know, like everybody wows over.
So who planted that seed in you? Like who what inspired you and planted that seed to wear all the hats that you wear? Because not only as an educator, as a poet, you've done movies, you name it, just activism, music videos. You've done so much, but when was that seed planted in you that has grown all these years later?
Right. As far as doing different things, my father was a handyman. So my father did several things to keep us afloat, you know, and so I learned that from him. I would say that, you know, he knows how to paint. I know how to paint. He uses his talents in different areas. So that part of it, I learned to be busy and not see it as a problem. I'm a busybody. And so that I got from my dad. When I came to Miami, and Marlene Bastien, Commissioner Marlene Bastien, District 2, she's a commissioner now, but back then she was running FUM, and she still does, FUM na Miami. She pulled me as an artist, and maybe she saw the potential. She said, hey, I was coming home late from, one of the club media situations, you know, and she called me and she said, listen, we're going to be out in the streets. Refugees just got here. We need rights, and, you know, I need you at 7 o'clock in the morning, you know, holding a banner. I was like, what? Not holding no 7 o'clock. That means I got to wake up at 6. I'm just coming home from the club. So I said, you know, she's well respected in the work that she does, and I respect her, and I respected that she even reached out to me. And so I made it there, held the banner. It was the most amazing people walking, protesting for a common cause. And it was my people, you know. And I mean, it could have been anybody, but the fact that it was still my people, and I was still trying to understand the dynamics of my people coming on the boat. And again, the similarities, the Cubans coming over, Jamaica, you know, so we got these similarities are right there. And there were other people there too. So that's what made me understand that this is not just our fight. When we fight for TPS, we fight for Nicaragua, we fight for Venezuela. You know, this is like, and that's what made me realize that this wasn't, the cultural ambassador is not just teaching Haitian culture, it's teaching culture, you know, making people realize that your culture, your background, your roots, your knowledge of self is very, very important to the decisions that you're going to be making in life, you know. And so I would say that coming to Miami, and Miami embracing and me seeing the diversity of the people here and the diversity of culture really made me just go full throttle. I said, I can thrive here doing this, and this can be heard. If I can get into the schools and talk to teachers. How I first got in was talking to the Haitian teachers. The Haitian teachers would talk to the principals, or talk to somebody else that was even more connected to the principal, and say, hey, we need this. If a couple of us band together, you know. And so that's kind of like my tour right now, you know. Like now, it started in Haitian Heritage Month. I think I did like 24 schools in one day on Haitian Flag Day. I mean, I was only able to be like 15 minutes at these schools, but the fact that they were calling us to give this positive message was so inspiring that we just kept going. It can never be too much. You can never know too much. So we just kept piling it on. We started a nonprofit, Children's Hope Chest of Dreams, DBA Fepuli. And we just started creating workshops. They were trial workshops at first, you know, but the information was there, and we fine-tuned certain things and spoke to other educators, and you know, until we got something that was like a template. I do tours in Little Haiti as well. So like I tell you, once it started from something, doing several things wasn't a puzzle. So once I knew that the Haitian community needed this information, and nobody was teaching culture, nobody was telling, you know, the people not to be ashamed of who they are, not to be ashamed of kids in school, not be ashamed of speaking their language. I used to go in schools and say, where the Cubans at? Raise their hands. Where the Jamaicans at? Raise their hands. Where the Dominicans? Where the Haitians? I see half hands. I said, there's a problem. I used to go home and say, there's a situation, there's a problem. And so I started creating, the workshops to really make the hands that were halfway start going full, so I could hear that thrill of excitement that you're proud to be Haitian, just like the Cubans are proud to be Cuban, just like the Dominicans are proud to be Dominican. Why aren't Haitians proud to be Haitians? At least the youth, I was dealing with the youth, And so the negative stereotypes and, the same way I used to feel. So that's where I started creating and being motivated to just do more. But Marlene Bastien really pulled me out the trenches and started to make me see how much activism work is real important. That's cool that you're an artist, but you got power, you got influence. This is way before social media. So he said, you have a lot of influence. Like, people like you, they gravitate towards you. They see you on BET with Wyclef. They see you on Island TV, here locally. Like, they see you on TV. Like, they listen to you. They want to dress like you. I was like, wow, really? Like, I know that in American, but I didn't really think that it would be that in the, in the next medium, in the next market that I would, with the Haitian market. And so I started to curtail, what I was saying, my text, lyrics, energy, and focus into really bringing up, the pride in the community.
That's phenomenal. And I got one more question before I hand it over to these folks to ask some questions. So to educate people on, what are some of the misconceptions that people have about the Haitian community? And I'll share with you one about my community, right? When you leave Miami-Dade County, right, people throughout the country really don't know much about Cuban culture, right? So I remember, I'll give you one misconception about the Cuban culture. Once I left, and I used to work in Tallahassee, and I've traveled the Midwest, and it's happened to me twice where people come up to me, we're in social groups, and they're like, hey, let's make Manny comfortable, and tonight we're gonna go to eat tacos. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you? I didn't get offended because I realized they've never been exposed to a culturally diverse community as Miami-Dade County, right? We're so fortunate that we got everybody.
Melting pot.
I was at Homestead this week, and I'll share with you another one. I knocked on one door, you had some old school Southerners living there. I knocked on another door, you had a Mexican family who spoke to me literally, carnal, órale, you had next house, you had a Haitian family. The next house, you had a Cuban family having a bar. On the same block.
Right.
That doesn't exist anywhere else in the country. Right. So then I realized that's why I didn't take too much offense to it, but I'll never forget that, where they looked at me and they were like, we got to make sure Manny feels good, and we're going to eat tacos. And I'm just like, what's happening? You know what I mean? Like, what is, but what are some of those misconceptions that we can educate people about and break through that mold, right? Because a lot of people think we're from the Caribbean, we all eat the same thing and speak the same language, and it's just not factual, right? So
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that we're lazy, not driven, not motivated. And Haitians are definitely hard workers. Even back home with very little, we make radios out of, you should see the materials. This guy's DJing over there with Matchbox cars, a broken AM radio, whatever it is, but
it's like Cubans.
They're very talented. They make the resources, they make it work. So we're very smart if given the opportunity. The country's been under oppression for so long that the resources are just not available for the youth, and the schools have been closed for so long as well. Another misconception is that we eat cats. We don't eat cats. You know what I'm saying? That's not our delicacy. But even though they eat cats around the world, but these are all stereotypes and stigmas to just kind of downplay, people, period. I'm not sure where these things come from, but they're definitely negative attachments to the culture, and the people. What are some other things? One Wow. Probably a lot of it probably misses me right now, but just the denial of your own culture is just, you know, who you are, where you came from, and not knowing the information. I feel that every child should know. I think it's real important to know when your country got its independence, because at that point, it's not just the date, but it's the history of the colonizers being there, and then your people fighting for liberty, equality, fraternity, to take over now and, you know, be independent. I think that's such a beautiful plight, even for an individual, to think about that you fought so much for equality and liberation, and then now you're finally free. That's a beautiful story, and you should know that. And if that doesn't empower you, you know what I mean, like that, and that does, most of the time that does empower, you know, the youth. And that's just one sentence, and that's just one thing. When you start to talk about all the other elements that are, you know, we have a national treasure site by UNESCO that was named one of the wonders, La Citadelle. You know, this is like a fortress in the northern part of Haiti. That's the biggest fortress in the northern hemisphere, in the western hemisphere. It's called La Citadelle La Ferrier. So, you know, they don't teach this. We have a wonder of the world in Haiti. They don't teach this stuff. They don't teach that the first king in the Western Hemisphere was Haitian as well. You know, Roi Henri Christophe. They don't teach this stuff because they don't want us empowered, you know, because once we're empowered, then we start to make moves as we're empowered. When I was going to Haiti in the early years, you know, I said, why don't we, you know, like provide jobs, raise the, you know, provide health insurance, And they told me that if we do that, the next step is they're going to protest for bigger wages. And I said, isn't that how it works though? You know, like if, you know, you are set at a certain, you know, I guess a level, a certain amount, whatever it is, but then it grows, you know, the community grows, society grows. After a while, people do want more than what you're supplying. We do too. We do it here. We want better health benefits. We want more. The people want more. They don't want them to even have that first step to ask for more. And, you know, so I feel like the job that we both are doing, man, I salute you too for even having, you know, this conversation on this platform, because Miami's so diverse that this doesn't just apply to Haitians. This applies to, you know, a lot of nationalities. When I'm out there and we're walking for TPS, or we're walking for any injustice, refugees, how they're being processed or anything like that, I don't just see Haitians. I see all walks of life. We're all brothers and sisters.
You got that right.
And now we want to thank our sponsors, Miami Lakes Automall.
Mecca, what do you think about this? Have you ever been in a mayor's office with a mural like this?
This is crazy. This is like a little Wynwood right here. You know what I mean? I feel like you know, this is, at one point, this would be called graffiti, and this could not be, you get arrested. The fact that urban art is being highlighted, and this is the creativity of the youth, of the people, you know, this is beautiful that your office is even decorated with, you know, and it feels like Miami also.
Yeah, no, 100%. Shout out to Grisel Gajano, a school counselor during the day, an incredible artist at night.
Beautiful. Want to shout out Enrique Santos. You like how I said that? Enrique Santos.
It was good. It was good. It was good.
That's
on
me.
point. Matter Lakes Broadcasting. These folks started off with, I think, a cell phone. This is like our first episode was with a cell phone, and now they've gotten to a point, I think, how many students do you guys have in the program? 120. How many teachers are in the program?
I'd say
two, and then 120. But what they do, that's delved into now, they produce their games live, like if it's ESPN. They have announcers, they have tickers on the bottom, so they are literally the envy of Miami-Dade County, of all the schools, and every school wants to be like them.
That's official. Sergio's Cuban Cafe and Grill. Might be going there right now because it's little lunchtime.
No.
We got some food right outside.
No, we're going to Mayor's Cafe.
Oh, we're going to the Mayor's Cafe, okay. But we want to shout out Sergio's Cuban Cafe and Grill. Definitely, I'm going to the Mayor's Cafe after
Got it. I'm going to pass it on to Brent. Albert, what do you guys got?
All right, so as you said, in like the Haitian community back there, the government hides a lot of information from that. Like you said, for example, the fortress that you were talking about. But why here the kids don't know that much about Haitian culture, even though they don't have that limitation of learning it?
Yeah, I feel that sometimes the parents, because the country is the way that it is, when the parents come here, I don't think they feel like teaching them. I think they kind of want to get away. I mean, they keep the culture in the home, but as far as adapting to society here, American society, I don't feel like they want to attach anything for the forward movement of their child from Haiti. I don't know if you understand. Like, teaching them about the Citadel is not going to help them plant their feet in America. I need you to speak English, need you to learn about, if anything, what the White House or, whatever it might be. So teaching anything about the culture, you learn anyway in the home. I don't want to say that we don't teach our children and we don't, in the home, you smell the food, they're eating the food. But what it is we shy away from, like me, I shied away from speaking Creole, even though I knew how to speak it and I understood it. But when I went to school, we didn't say we spoke Creole because I was already programmed that it sounded funny. And it probably sounded like maybe an African language that they were already mimicking. It was, Creole sounds like African language, which in Creole actually comes from Africa as well. There's different dialects. And the thing about the Creole language that's so powerful as well, it was a language, even though it had its roots in Africa, it was a language that developed out of not letting the colonizers understand what we were saying so that we can plot to be free and so that we can plan. And so this was a language that the different Creole dialects with some French that accumulated together and became this official language of revolution, basically. And that's why it's so powerful as well. Once my uncle was really an advocate for the Creole language to be spoken, even our arts divisions, rest in peace, Mauricio Leroy, Felix Leroy. And he advocated for Creole to be in the theaters were only in French. You have to understand our colonizers were French on our side. On the, in Dominican Republic, they were from Spain. So on the French side, schools were taught in French. And so we had to learn French, but no Creole. They didn't want our official language to be taught in the schools. They were trying to implement their own agenda and their own system in the school. So a lot of the schools taught French and not Creole. A lot of the schools didn't teach a lot of the powerful things that should be learning about from our country. They were teaching about stuff that was outside the country, or maybe stuff that was in France, or how powerful France was. But in essence, Haiti made France powerful. Coffee, beans, you name it, from the crops and, from stemming from there.
That's true. You guys got anything else for Mecca?
So, because my question was actually going to be about your Uncle Felix, but you mentioned it. But my question was he also, besides your father, like another person of influence that you looked up to as well? And did you have any other family members that you looked up to as well? And because obviously everybody goes through rough times.
Right.
How did you get through those times?
My family is very tight knit, so I look up to them, and we as parents right now trying to do the same exact. And matter of fact, I had a meeting with my brother on, having more events and inviting. Now we have children, like when we were small, the generations have gone through the transition. So now we're the parents and we're the elders. And now we have small ones in the family, like our kids are having kids. How will they know the family? Because we grew up knowing we know each other. We have a very large family. And so we said we wanted to emulate that for our generation that's coming up as well. And so I spoke to my brother. We had, like, this year, we maybe had about 8-10 events that the whole family, the elders and the kids, would come, and we did that intentionally so that the kids know who their uncles are. I have some nieces and nephews that I've never seen in a few years, because we're all so busy. Some are in Kendall and, like some are out of the state, but everybody came in and we made ourselves all more familiar. Just that sense of family, I admire all of my uncles. They're all musicians. What made Felix Mauricio Leroy a little stand out a little bit more. The reason why I mentioned his name is because he was a poet, and he was an artist himself. Theater, you know, he was in theater and he advocated for the Creole language, and so I connected with that a lot. Being an artist, the fact that he was a poet and that he didn't do poetry. I don't know if he did poetry in French, but he definitely advocated for poetry in Creole. He felt like Creole needed to be upheld in a country where that was their main language. Why are we speaking French, the oppressor's language? And so as an artist that had knowledge of self and started to really understand my purpose and my plight, I connected with my uncle, you know, in that sense. You know, I wanted to make a change. I wanted, through the arts that they're trying to take out of the schools, through the arts, I wanted to promote this culture. I wanted to give people a sense of purpose through the arts, and that works. The arts definitely is a vehicle of hope. You know, I work with you know, ESC and you know, autistic, you know, population as well, and the arts are so important. So important. And so have family members. I want to shout out my mom too. My mom is very nurturing. My mom, I worked at a company for 18 years and I left that because Wyclef asked me to go on tour. She was like, what? She was like, your tour is gonna last maybe like 2 months, if that. She was like, you've been at this where you are now 18 years. But I wasn't fulfilled where I was at. And I know I was providing for my family, so I made provisions, whether it was savings or whatever it was, to leave one day. It took me 18 years. I knew that I didn't want to retire there. My purpose wasn't being fulfilled there. As soon as I left there, it wasn't an easy plight, but as soon as I left there, I started to really work on my path and my purpose. And being a teacher, it was like 60,000, you know, pay cut, but I was able to still go to, you know, do what I wanted to do in life, in my purpose in life. I sleep so much better. You know, I feel so youthful inside. You know, I just feel so great about going and doing these works. I was at Norland Middle yesterday teaching poetry.
That's awesome.
So, you know, we got something called Piano Slam. I'm working with the Piano Slam Foundation, and we're teaching kids how to merge poetry with classical music. So I went with 2 pianists, and I did poetry, and we merged the 2, and they never heard piano over classical music before. And so we're going to be presenting something at the Adrian Arts Center March 11th, and that's going to be a beautiful thing. I got a movie coming out, Queen's King. I'm a Haitian artist in the movie. It's almost like I'm playing myself, you know, Haitian artist in the movie, and I'm in the streets because I come from Haiti. And I just want to adapt to society, acclimate to how they're, so my pants is down, you know, I got that swag, American swag, but I'm not from here, and that's not really my lifestyle. And then my lady is trying to, you know, like bring me back. Let's just go away, leave this here, because there's no future here. You see how these artists end up, you know, let's just, you know, like have a life, let's da-da-da. And so you see the dynamics. Her parents are religious, they don't like me because of what I represent. And so there's a lot of different dynamics that are very real, you know, in the movie. There's one that just made it to Tubi, A Miami Love Story by the Florida Film House. Want to shout them out. I play a character by the name of Rudy as well. So I got my acting thing, you know, kind of going on as well. Non-profit situation. So like I said, I try to engulf myself. I'm a tour guide in Little Haiti, TIET. Little Haiti is changing right now. It's going through gentrification and situations, but one thing we can't let happen is the history and the culture die. You can go ahead and put the Starbucks in there. You can go ahead, Boost Mobile can move in, but a lot of the mom and pops, they moved them out. But the people that come there should still be able to feel like you're in Little Haiti. And so I teach the culture right at the Little Haiti Cultural Arts Center. I do field trips for the 5,000 role models. As a matter of fact, I'm a 5,000 role models. I want to shout out Congresswoman Frederica Wilson for the work that she does with these boys that, you know, either are fatherless, don't have uncles, or just don't have any guide, period. And so, you know, we play as mentors. We're mentors and, you know, big brothers. Again, I just felt like not just in the Haitian community, but just being a big brother to a student is noble, you know, and I want to do that because some kids don't have that guidance and don't have that. The first school I started teaching at was Toussaint Louverture Elementary. And this is in the heart of Little Haiti. I had no intentions on becoming a teacher. I had just come off the road with Wyclef, and our studio was at nighttime, so I had the daytime to play with. So I said, what should I do? I need a little extra money while I'm, And one of my fourth grade teachers from New York, Ms. Josette Paris, told me, why don't you just be a sub at least? So you can leave whenever you want. You can work 1 day a week, come back a month later if you want, or you can work 3 months straight. A substitute teacher. Just let them know you want it, you're available. And I did that. And at Toussaint Louverture, there were kids that would ball up their fists and breathe heavy. Once you told them to do something other than, what they were supposed to do. And they brought them all to me. I was the only male at the school at that time. Myself and Donnie Felix, he was a math teacher. And when they brought him to me, I said, I'm not a counselor. But he said, maybe you can talk to him because, he's black, you're black, maybe you can kind of like talk to him. Plus you're a male. We don't have males here, so this is good for him to talk to another male. I sat down with him, talked. He did shut me down at first, but once I started to do my little beatbox, started banging on the table, dude's mouth started to open up. And this is most of them. And they were able to tell me what was going on in their house through lyrics. Not talking to me because they were shut down. They were like, but once I started banging on it, I was just kind of killing time. I was just like, boom, bah, bah. Well, my brother's at the park and he locked me out. I was like, what? Like, give me more, and this is how they were communicating with me. And I was like, music is powerful. And I just came off tour with this stuff. So I'm telling Wyclef, like, we got to get into the schools. There's like an avenue here, not a money-making avenue, but there's a lifelong lesson. There's work to be done in the school systems as well, even though they're being taught. But there's certain life skills and certain teachings that they're not being taught. And I think they need to see people like us, like themselves. And so I didn't become a counselor, but kids, they would send them to me and I would just talk to the kids, and I found a program, and that's how I started the program. A little poetry, write about what you got. I'm gonna put a little beat on, tell me about your day today. And that's how I would kind of get into their heads or have them communicate. Then I cut off the music and be like, you got to be able to, in society, you're not going to always have this background music. You got to be able to communicate with people without the music too. You are the music, and so just making them not depend on just the music alone, but letting them see outside that. I've got to be able to hear you talk and express yourself even without what we're doing here. This is cool, and I'm glad it came about this way, but I need to develop you more. You're going to be one of our leaders, a good citizen in our community. And so this is what needs to happen. I see you already. I see the power in you. You be the next president. You got to motivate. No, it's no motivation. And so I felt like I was able to motivate. I felt like I have that energy and that purpose. And I just, I didn't look back.
It's very powerful. The entire path, right? Just making that decision, because it's always hard, right? Leaving a job that you've been with for 18 years, right? Yeah. That risk alone created so much growth in your life, which I think it's a huge story for kids, right? There's a lot of complacency,
right?
But once you risk it and put the positive energy behind it and work hard, sky's the limit. Right. So in closing, we do a couple things. We turn it over to you, and you get to ask some questions. And then after that, we're going to ask you to do some words of inspiration, motivation for the next Mecca, that young kid who maybe is in New York, who's going to come to Miami, or maybe he's in Haiti, and then he's going to come to Miami. And then we'll close from there. But for now, any questions that you got to throw this way, we kind of hand it over to
Hand
you.
it over to me?
For one or two questions, yeah.
Why'd you feel the need to open a podcast?
So I, as mayor, been doing this, I'm heading on my 8th year as mayor. I was 3 years as vice mayor and 1 as a council member, so close to 12 years, right? And I felt that a lot of people are just happy to be here, right? They love power for the sake of power. Just, man, I'm here, I made it, I'm cut a ribbon, everybody calls me mayor. And I didn't like that. And I felt, the other thing I felt was that there's so many incredible stories like yours
Right.
in our community that never get told. Think about it. TV, if you get an interview on TV, they might give you 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? In writing, there's some good reporters and there's some really not so good reporters, and
Right.
they don't tell the story well enough, and things don't really delve too well. So I said, the long form conversations really allow for that inspiration, that motivation for people to tell their stories like yours.
Right.
How inspiring that is, right? To make that move, to bet on yourself, to
Right.
go with Wycliffe, when you. Because our parents are always going to tell us, like, hey, man, you got to... My mom told me the same thing. You know what I mean? When I ran for council, I did it. It's like, hey, you're leaving a great job. You shouldn't
Right,
do it. But I think those stories are so powerful. So I said, we got to start telling people stories. So this is like, I think almost our 100th episode.
Really?
Yeah, we told Drew's story before, which was really cool. We love just telling people's story because they never get told. I mean,
Right.
think about it. If somebody interviews you tomorrow, you might get a 5-minute interview on TV or 15 seconds
If
on one.
that, yeah.
If that. So, and the same thing in writing. I mean,
Right.
there's local newspapers who try to do a good job, but they miss so much that we're like, the
Right.
long form works. And then it's actually really cool because it's an actual high school class. They both teach this class. There's usually students in here. I know they have testing, they have different
Right.
things at this point of the school year. And it was the last 2 semesters, it was an actual, and it will be going forward, it was an actual college credit for in the university to participate in it, because
Love it.
they get the raw footage, they edit it, they do research on you, so it's really cool, and they
Beautiful.
put it all together.
Appreciate you guys doing a little research, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sure.
for sure.
The other thing I wanted to ask is Vox Populi. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Where'd you get that, the name?
A voice of the people. Right?
Got you. So is that Spanish?
Latin.
Latin. Okay.
So I remember years ago, I used to be an aide in the Florida legislature. So I worked in the state capitol for 7 years, and there was a state rep, or state senator who's no longer with us actually, who had filed a bill, and it was called Vox Populi, and it was the voice of the people. At that time, they were trying to change the rules because in local government, there were some cities and counties that weren't allowing people to speak at their meetings, and so I remember her doing that, and I was like, wow, like that really opened my eyes as to
Right.
how important it is to have people's voices heard, right? Because a lot of times I realized in these processes, people only cared about those who were wealthy or well-connected
Right.
or powerful. But everybody else, who are really the engines of our society, were left to the side. So I remember her doing that, which it forced, by law, everybody to have a by law, an opportunity to speak at their local governments.
Right.
Like here in Miami Lakes, you have 3 minutes every month to say whatever you want to. I can't stop you.
Anybody.
You could say Manny Cid's the worst mayor ever. You could say, and I just got to sit there and thank you.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Wow.
No matter, and nobody can take that
Right.
away from you. So, yeah, that came from there. So I was 305. Obviously, Miami.
Right. You definitely.
in
Hey,
it.
so you Miami born?
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
That's my brother.
Yeah.
Hey, so let me show you how it's so similar. Vox Populi is voix peuple. Voix peuple is the voice of the people.
Got it.
So voix peuple is, you know what I mean? So the similarities is endless, man. Even in the language, it's very similar, a lot of words.
That
My
is.
wife is Colombian, so, I listen to a lot of what she says, and I'm like, we almost got the same language. The
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
Sounds the same.
Romance languages.
It sounds the same.
100%.
Even the culture. I just came back from Colombia. The food, even the terrain.
Yep.
The lifestyle, the outdoor, the country. It's so similar in a lot of ways.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So that next Mecca Grimo, who is in Haiti or New York and is making their way here to Miami, to this cultural melting pot where we all live together, we share in each other's journey, but to that next kid who needs to hear your words of inspiration and motivation, what would you tell that kid?
I would tell that individual that to stay driven, that stay empowered. Knowledge itself is something that's very powerful. Once you find yourself, once you find your purpose in life, once you find your lane, the possibilities are endless. Find your lane, find what it is that you're good at, find your passion, find what it is that you love, and work on your dream so that your dream can work for you in the future. I would say that education is not to be compromised. Focus on your education and just be an entrepreneur at heart. Develop. Now is the time of the entrepreneur. We're in the years of the entrepreneur now. Now we can, develop companies. If you have something that you feel is a no-brainer, develop that. The possibilities are endless right now. Find yourself, find your avenue, find your lane, your passion, and be very driven and be very persistent like you would be working for somebody else. And be more diligent about those tasks and planning than you would be for another company. You've got to be 10 times more, on top of your stuff, because now nobody's doing, a lot of that work for you. And so you're going to be doing a lot of that work, maybe your team or, people that you're with. But stay driven, stay elevated. Being happy is something that's underrated as well. If you're not happy, you're not going to want to do a lot of things. And so find that happiness in your heart. Find that love, whatever makes you really tick, whatever makes you want to wake up in the morning and do that 1,000%. And even if you start small, it's going to grow because opportunities are going to come to you. And do positive things in life because karma is real. Karma is very real. So if you feel that like you good on 7 days and then, on the 8th day, you want to steal something from somebody, like I feel that, at some point when things come back around, you could be the best person. But if you did something, like that's going to come back too. Even if it's at 1%, like negative is negative. What's not good is not good. There's no shading it or anything like that. And so karma is very real. Try to be the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. Nobody can be like you. Nobody. Only you can be like you. Take good advice and make the best out of your opportunities.
Man, I appreciate that. And I think that story will be told well. I know Bren and Albert will make sure that'll be that. I think that was pretty powerful. That has to be part of the preview video. And now in closing, one of your poems, if you can share with us, and whichever one you got, whatever you got on deck, or even songs. If you even want to sing something, whatever.
Sing some concert vibes.
Yeah. So.
One that really resonates with what we're talking about right now is a piece that I wrote called Haiti Was Born in Me. The proper name of Haiti is Haiti. That's the indigenous name from the Tainos, Arawaks, and the Quisqueya people. I wasn't born in Haiti, but Haiti was born in me. I'm a first generation Haitian who was also a product of the immigrant migration. My parents came here for a search for a better life. Seeking salvation, they moved to the States, a risk many are willing to take, and the ones that do, by example, lead. And that brings us to where I was conceived, a place called Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, I was born there, but still had the fear of acknowledging my own true Haitian culture. I moved to Queens when I was 6, and the same mind tricks that called me refugee haunted me and made me not want to be Haitian. So how can I smile when my people are being made fun of? I'm asking my fellow peers, where's the love? Silly stereotypes which stab at my self-esteem, trying to submerge me in the strong currents of the Atlantic. When my parents would go to parent-teacher meetings, I'd panic. Because when you heard my father's heavy Haitian accent, that meant that I'd be the joke of the class the next day in school. They'd call me boat people, refugee, just to name a few. What was I supposed to do? So I crawled back in my shell, all the while still in denial of all of the rich history that Haiti had to offer to the world. It wasn't until I moved to Miami and was already in my teens, realizing that Haiti was the first independent black empire in the world. In the Antilles, we were considered the pearl. So I started to research, archive historical events and facts that may have fell through the cracks. No longer will I hide behind these silly stereotypes that would denounce the legacy of my ancestors. Now I'm conducting educational workshops to the youth that once thought like me. I wasn't born in Haiti, but Haiti was born
in me.
Bam! And that's the response I always get. It lets me know you're listening. And that's for everything, like the culture. I wasn't born there, but I got so much love for the culture and want to do so much for the culture and my people and the world, period. You know, we're citizens of the world. Let's just go out there and do good work and, you know, raise our families so that, you know, cycle of life is inevitable. So while we're here, we really gotta, you know, live out our purpose. And I salute to you too. You know, you're in your community and you're doing great work. You got a podcast situation. I think this is I know what the podcast platform does. And so as a mayor, I was like, wow, mayor got a podcast. You understand. You under the advancement of media and the information, how to emit the information out to the people. And I salute you for that. You know, Drew had, big shouts out to my brother Drew, Tree Hugging Soap.
It's the man.
Yes, sir, yes. I was around when that first batch of soap was developed. And it probably wasn't even quite the right the right thing yet. I was the guinea pig. I was the guinea pig. I used the first soap, you know? But man, I've seen the growth, and this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example, man. Like, we were just scratching our heads. You know, we lived together right here in Miami Lakes, and we were scratching our heads like, what are we gonna do? Besides videos and music that we know how to do like the back of our hands, we were doing that. But like, we're not selling the videos. We're not selling them. You know, we're hoping that it catches on. We're hoping somebody calls and hoping to perform and get paid to perform. But we do these videos and do music, register them, and have to wait. And what are we doing? This guy here is an entrepreneur, always trying to do something different, always trying to motivate me. Another thing also is surround yourself with great people, with great minds, you know, optimistic people that really want to go out and get it. Because I think that if I'm in bed, but my man is like, we got to go now. Like the thing, boom, whatever, like boom, let's go right now, man. We'll get something to eat after. Somebody that just can push you, you know. So living with my brother Drew is definitely, this guy doesn't stop. He doesn't stop either. So it's a great friend of mine for over 20 years now, you know. And so he's a motivator. Have people around you that can motivate you. Have people around you that are smarter than you, you know, that can push you, you know, to doing big things.
And there you have it, the incredibly inspiring story behind Mecca Grimm. Let's continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters in the Haitian community here in Miami-Dade County and on the Isle of Haiti. Make sure that we find freedom throughout the Caribbean, make sure that people prosper, and we keep doing well. So continue embracing those cultural diversities here in the 305 and beyond. Tune in next Wednesday on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube. We'll see you then.
All right.
Boom.
Boom.
Love it.
Boom.